One day at the gym, where I went on a schedule that I don't often go to, a guy told me something incredible. This is what a guy at the gym told me, and it is something I will never forget, because it left me speechless. Stay until the end to know this story. So make yourself comfortable, and we invite you to subscribe to the channel and activate the little bell so you don't miss any video. That day, I had decided to go to the gym as part of my regular routine. In truth, the gym was more than a place to exercise. It was my personal space, the place where I could release tension and disconnect from the chaos of everyday life. I had arrived early, as usual, when it was still not too crowded. I liked that time because I could use the equipment without waiting and keep my own pace. Upon entering, I greeted the receptionist, a friendly guy who always had a smile for everyone, and went straight to the locker room to change. Everything was going normally as I prepared for my workout. During my workout, I noticed a new guy I hadn't seen before. I couldn't help but notice him. Not only was he physically attractive, but there was something about his attitude that made him stand out. His movements were precise, confident, and there was an air of determination about him that I found captivating. I tried not to stare at him too much. I didn't want him to think I was a stalker or anything like that. But every time he passed by where I was training, I felt a kind of strange nervousness. What was it about this guy that made my heart beat faster? I tried to concentrate on my exercises, thinking it was probably just a passing attraction. Are you liking the video so far? If so, leave us a like and subscribe. Let's keep going. When I finished my routine, I went straight to the showers. I was exhausted but satisfied with the workout. Before heading to the showers, I lingered in the locker room for a few minutes to catch my breath. It was one of those days when I felt I had given my all in training, and that filled me with pride. As I was wiping my sweat and organizing my things, he appeared again. He moved with a naturalness that seemed almost choreographed, as if his every gesture was perfectly calculated to attract attention, although he probably wasn't aware of it. From my bench, I watched him open his locker and take out his bag. As he did so, I could notice small details that I found fascinating. The way he arranged his belongings, his concentration as he searched for something in his bag, even the slight whistle escaping his lips. Everything about him seemed mesmerizing to me. I tried not to stare at him too much, but I couldn't help but be drawn to his presence. Then, as if he had felt my gaze, he turned his head and smiled at me. It was a casual smile, but so genuine that it completely disarmed me. I felt my heart skip a beat, and I quickly looked away, pretending to be busy with my towel. However, out of the corner of my eye, I saw that he was still watching me. There was a moment of tension in the air, as if we were both waiting for the other to do something. But nothing happened. He simply closed his locker and headed for the showers. I gathered my things and followed him shortly after, trying not to look too obvious. As I entered, I was overcome by the familiar sound of running water and the warmth of steam. There were several showers occupied, but it didn't take me long to locate him. He was in a corner, adjusting the water temperature. I approached a nearby shower, trying not to show how much his proximity affected me. The steam created an almost magical atmosphere, enveloping us in a space that seemed disconnected from the rest of the world. As the water fell over me, I closed my eyes and let the heat relax my muscles. But my mind wouldn't stop wandering. I thought about the way he had smiled at me earlier, how there seemed to be some sort of unspoken connection between us. It was a new feeling for me, exciting and terrifying at the same time. Before we go on, we invite you to like and subscribe. Let's continue. When he finally broke the silence, his voice took me by surprise. His tone was calm, almost casual, but there was something in his choice of words that seemed loaded with intent. "Do you usually come here at this hour?" he asked, not taking his eyes off his own shower. I opened my eyes and looked sideways at him, trying to remain calm. "Yes, I like to train early. There are fewer people and I can concentrate better," I replied, feeling strange about how normal my voice sounded, despite my nerves. "It makes sense. I prefer this schedule too. It's more personal, don't you think?" he added, and for a moment his eyes met mine. There was something in his gaze that made me feel as if he was seeing beyond the superficial. I nodded, not knowing exactly what to say. The silence that followed was not uncomfortable, but it was charged with a tension I could not ignore. I felt as if every word, every gesture, carried a weight that went far beyond the usual. As we continued to shower, I dared to look at him some more. His relaxed posture, the way the water slid down his skin, even the slight sigh he let out as he adjusted the stream, everything about him seemed fascinating to me. It was as if I was watching a moving work of art, and I couldn't look away. That's when he made a comment that caught me completely off guard. You know, I've always admired people who have the discipline to take care of themselves. You seem like someone like that. I can tell you put a lot of effort into it, he said, turning slightly toward me. His tone was sincere, but there was a nuance in his voice that made me feel there was something more behind his words. I was silent for a moment, trying to process what he had just said. Finally, I managed to respond. Thank you. I try to do my best, although sometimes it's hard to stay motivated, I admitted, feeling strangely vulnerable. He smiled, and that smile was enough to completely disarm me. Well, I think you're doing a great job. It's inspiring, really, he added, and this time his words carried a weight I couldn't ignore. Don't forget to subscribe and like for more content like this. Let's continue. Steam filled the space, creating an almost surreal atmosphere. I closed my eyes as the hot water ran over my body, relaxing every muscle. I heard footsteps approaching, but I didn't pay much attention to them until I heard his voice. It was him, the boy I had been noticing during my workout. Do you mind if I use this shower? He asked, pointing to the one next to mine. His tone was friendly, but there was something in his gaze that left me frozen for a second. Sure, go ahead, I replied, trying to sound casual as my heart seemed to want to jump out of my chest. He moved to my side and began to shower. I tried to remain calm, but the closeness was enough to make me nervous. I forced myself not to look, concentrating on the water that kept falling. Then, suddenly, he broke the silence. I saw you training today, he said in a calm but confident tone. I turned slightly, surprised that he had started a conversation. Oh, yeah? Well, I come here quite often. Maybe you've seen me before, I replied, trying to hide my surprise. It's possible, but I hadn't noticed how dedicated you are. I really admire that in someone, he added, as his eyes met mine for a brief moment. There was something in his gaze that completely disarmed me. Thank you. I think it's important to be consistent, I murmured, feeling my face start to heat up, and not from the steam from the shower. There was a moment of silence, but it wasn't awkward. Rather, it felt like we were both weighing what had just happened. Finally, it was he who broke the stillness again. You have an impressive physique. I can tell you put a lot of effort into it. It's inspiring, he said, this time with a smile. His words took me by surprise. No one had ever spoken to me like that before, let alone someone like him. Thank you, really. That means a lot, I replied, a little stunned. I wanted to return the compliment, but the words seemed to get stuck in my throat. Then what he said next left me completely speechless. Would you like to go out with me sometime? I think we could get to know each other better. If it's okay with you, of course, he added, looking at me in such a direct and sincere way that it was impossible to doubt his intention. For a moment, everything seemed to stop. The words echoed in my head as I tried to process them. Was I hearing correctly? Had he just asked me out? My mind was blank, but my heart already had the answer. I'd love to, I finally replied, with a smile I couldn't contain. His face lit up, and at that moment I knew I had made the right decision. We left the gym together that afternoon, both of us with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. We spent hours talking, getting to know each other beyond simple workouts and routines. I discovered that he was much more than an attractive guy with a great physique. He was intelligent, passionate, and had a way of looking at life that inspired me. That night marked the beginning of something I had never imagined. What started as a casual conversation in the gym showers turned into a deep connection that changed my life forever. It taught me that sometimes all it takes is a simple act of courage to discover something extraordinary. Today, we still go to the gym together. Every time I see him smile, I remember that moment when it all began. His invitation was much more than a simple question. It was the beginning of a new and beautiful chapter in our lives, one that I am grateful to live every day by his side. If you liked the video and this content added value to you, leave us a like and share it with your friends so they don't miss it.